There's backlash growing against bail reform in the wake of the Wisconsin parade tragedy. The suspect was set free on a bond of just $1,000 for vehicular aggression just 2 weeks before he allegedly drove his car through a holiday parade in Wisconsin, killing 6 people. The New Post slamming the move, calling it the New York Post slamming this move, calling it bail madness. And in the article, the editorial board wrote, quote, Daryl E. Brooks has become the latest face of America's deranged campaign against reasonable law enforcement, end quote. AOC and company should consider that face and those of his alleged victims before posturing again. So, what is to be done with the current state of bail reform? Joining us now to discuss this is public policy leader Patrick Graham and president of the National Association of Bail Agents, Michelle Esquenazi. Thank you both so much for joining us. I'll start with you, Michelle. I'd like both of your thoughts on what you heard the New York Post talking about, the editorial board. Michelle.
Yeah, I think that, there's a lot of talk about bail and bail reform. There has been for very many years, but the one conversation that's always been absent from these conversations are the victims of crime. So I think that what we're going to see now is that because it wasn't an isolated incident, it wasn't just one victim per offender, this offender killed many victims, children, and it was extremely heinous. So I think that the conversation is going to just transcend the rights of criminal offenders and likely move into the rights of crime victims.
Patrick, what do you think about the New York Post and what they had to say?
Well, I think one, they're drawing on some historical images I can see there. You might as well have put Willie Horton there. But the reality is, I don't think this was just a failure of a bail system. I think there was a human error in the way that they set bail. And so people need to understand the difference between bail reform and someone making an individual decision, as they did in this case. The other thing with Darrell Brooks, too, is that the real failure is, in part, our mental health system. I mean, we're talking about someone who was diagnosed very young with a bipolar disorder, as well as some other issues that apparently showed themselves several times. So I think that the absence of a true mental health system within our criminal justice system is part of the issue.
You hit the nail on
Michelle,
the
what are your
head,
thoughts?
Patrick. And he hit the nail on the head. And, part of the mistake in bail reform was what we refer to in New York as EDPs, which is emotionally disturbed people. And what happened was when you open the jail doors and you just let everybody out, a lot of that population wasn't in custody, but they were receiving antipsychotics. They were receiving, SSRI medication. So they were able to, kind of their serotonin was able to be okay. When you release people and you no longer give them medicine and they're schizophrenic and you put them in the streets, they really can't tell the difference between right and wrong. So, what Patrick said is just incredibly important. But what they never did was they never dog eared money for that particular population. There really should be a 72-hour hold to evaluate the emotionally impaired. And it's really tragic that that's not part of our criminal justice system because clearly the state of New York and the state of Wisconsin, they have the money in the budget to do these things, but they're just kind of looking at this as a blanket approach to criminal offender release, and it's really not fair.
And Patrick, we know that the bail system often works against communities of color who can't normally afford high bail. So how do you balance that where, you don't have bail that's too low, but you also have a system that works for all races?
One, they have to pay attention to the data. So the data gives you some clear disparities when you have individuals who've committed the same crimes, same records, and what happens to people of color versus your white population. I think the other thing too is that some of these systems are so overburdened that they just don't take the time to really look at each individual case in the way that they're supposed to. And oftentimes that also creates disparities because if you already have preconceived notions of who people of color are, particularly African American and brown people, then you're going to automatically make decisions based on some of that bias. Overall, what we need to do is actually, with each individual case, is really thoroughly go through the records and make a good assessment before we actually come up, as my sister said, with some blanket reform. Even though I do believe we have to come up with some way to reform it because the disparities are glaring.
Well, Patrick,
Michelle, is there a way that
that
we could
makes
eliminate altogether?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a one size fits all for any of this, but I think what Patrick said is just so wise. And the fact of the matter is, here in New York, when the legislature changed bail reform, what they did when they removed judicial discretion was they removed the judge's ability to take a look at the rap sheet. And that's what Patrick was just talking about. So, that particular offender that killed all of those individuals last week in Wisconsin, in New York, if that same person did the same thing, the judge no longer has the right to take a look at what he did last week. So that was a huge mistake in bail reform legislation. We are going to be going back again and making some amendments this year. We're super encouraged that we have our first black, well, not first black mayor, Eric Adams, who's a great guy. He's a former NYPD captain, and he's got a lot of real smarts about what should happen to the people in our city and how to protect public safety, and at the same time make sure that the disparities that you were referring to are addressed as well.
Patrick, I'll give you the last word on this.
At the end of the day, we see that there is actual disparities across our criminal justice system, both in terms of arrest, sentencing, which I think is very important for people to understand that Black folks, for example, receive sentences 20% higher than their white counterparts. And then, of course, with bail, hitting people economically, sometimes even creating a debtor's prison in many ways. We just can't do that. But at the same time, we have to provide the resources necessary, right, for individuals to be sort of measured on an individual basis when we're talking about these type of reforms.
Amen.
Patrick and Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Both your comments. Take care. Stay with us, everyone. When we return, we will remember the life and legacy of artist and designer Virgil Abloh and all